Hello, in this video, I'll be discussing a sample speaking test for senior high school students. I will go over its characteristics, objectives, its type, and I'll briefly discuss the learning outcomes from Bloom's taxonomy that are present in the sample assessment. So firstly, for the characteristics. So the main observable characteristic of the sample assessment that I have found on the internet is that it's comprised of questions that can't be answered by yes or no. The assessee are always instructed to say as much as they can to maximize the allotted time to answer per question. And lastly, the questions are aided by illustrations like this and this, which aims to put the assessee in a situation where they will be required to answer based on the situation depicted on the illustration given. So next for the objectives. So the main objective of this sample assessment is to evaluate the ESL language proficiency and the communication skills of the assessee by way of an interview. Another objective of the sample assessment is to test how well the assessee can remember information given in a certain scenario. Also, the sample assessment tests how well the assessee can explain ideas and concepts like in question number 3. Here, going back. Lastly, the assessment aims to measure how well the assessee used given info to aid in certain situations. Next is the type of test. So, this sample assessment is an example of a authentic assessment in the form of a proficiency test. So, a proficiency test measures how proficient or skilled someone is in a particular activity or a field of study, which is in this case is ESL speaking. So the main characteristics of an authentic assessment is that it examines the student's performance on the task being mastered, which is, again, in this case, ESL speaking. Next is that it forces students to justify their answers as shown on some of the questions on the sample assessment. And lastly, the questions on the assessment serves as a rehearsal for real-world situations. I will be briefly going over Bloom's taxonomy as this is a essential part of the presentation. So this is a visual representation of Bloom's taxonomy, which contains the 6 levels of learning objectives in teaching. So the first level is remembering. This is where students are expected to remember the basic concepts of the topics that are being taught. The second level is the understanding level, where students are expected to be able to explain ideas and concepts regarding the topics at hand. On the third level, which is the application level, here the students will be able to use the info that were taught to them in new situations. So the fourth one is the analysis level, where the students will be able to connect information to each other and organize ideas with regards to the topic at hand. On the next level, which is the fifth level, evaluation level, here, they will be able to justify a stand on a certain issue and draw a compelling argument with regards to the topic that were being taught to them. And finally, on the creation level, here they will be able to create original work from all of the information that they have learned. So now we will go over to the learning outcomes of Bloom's taxonomy that are present on the sample material that I got from the internet. Okay, so this is the sample material here, and these are the questions. So I only inserted the Bloom's taxonomy diagram here for clarity. Okay, so for the first part of the test, the assessee is instructed to study a map for 30 seconds and answer the questions based on the illustration. So question 1 is choose one place in the map that you think I should visit and give some reasons why you recommend this place. So for question 1, it is aligned to the evaluation level, as it is asking the assessee to justify why they would recommend the place that they selected. So for question 2, I'd like to see a movie. Please give me directions from the bus station to the movie theater. So for question 2, it is aligned on the remembering level, as it prompts the assessee to remember the directions of the map, as they cannot look at it again. So remember that the assessee is only given 30 seconds to study the map. So for question 2, they'll have to remember the details of the map to be able to give an answer for the directions from the bus station to the movie theater. Moving on. So for the third question, one of your favorite movies is playing at the theater. Please tell me about the movie and why you like it. So for question 3, this is also aligned on the evaluation level, as it asks for the assessee's critiques as to why they like the movie playing on the theater. So moving on. This is the last part of the assessment. Okay. So for the last part of the assessment, the assessee is instructed to examine 6 pictures in order and come up with a story based on what the illustration depicts. So in question number 4, tell me the story that the pictures show. So in question number 4, the assessee has to tell what the story of the picture is, which is aligned to the analytical level, as it makes the assessee connect the ideas depicted on the picture and conjure up an explanation as to what happened. Next, question number 5. What could the painters have done to prevent this? So for question number 5, question number 5 is aligned with the understanding level, as it asks the assessee to explain what could be done differently to prevent the outcome depicted on the illustrations. Next, question number 6. Imagine that this happens to you. After you have taken the suit to the dry cleaners, you find out that you need to wear the suit next morning. The dry cleaning service usually takes 2 days. Call the dry cleaners and try to persuade them to have the suit ready later today. So question 6 is aligned with the application level, as it makes the assessee use the information presented in the depictions of the illustration and use it in a entirely new situation. And lastly, question number 7 is aligned with the evaluation level, as it asks the assessee about their stand on the advantages and disadvantages of newspaper and television news. So to further explain, so the man in the picture is reading a newspaper. Both newspapers and television news programs can be good sources of information about current events. What do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of these sources? So for this one, this is aligned with the evaluation level, because the assessee is being prompted to justify their stance on the advantages and disadvantages of newspaper and television news. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.